Manfred von Tippelskirch. Sorry, Manfred, I probably mangled the...
No, you did actually really well. Thank you very much.
Welcome. We've got about 10 minutes.
Good morning.
Members, good morning. Members have got your written submission.
Yes.
But we're looking forward to you now expanding that orally to us.
That's right, yeah.
So welcome.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so after the earthquakes, we had the share an idea, and there was quite a great sense of optimism, of renewal and future-proofing of the city. The main themes that transpired through this process were that people wanted to restore the city in an ecologically, culturally, and socially and economically sustainable way. While some of the ideas have been adopted, many citizens are disenchanted by the direction and pace of the rebuild. They are still costly to build and in upkeep unsustainable anchor projects looming, the stadium and convention center, while the horizontal infrastructure is still partly broken. Yet we owe our kids a stable and healthy future. We need to reinstate local democracy and citizen engagement. The Regeneration bill does not really reflect this, in my mind. The purpose of the bill needs to be the regeneration and transformation of the city in an ecologically, culturally, socially, and economically sustainable way to restore the dignity, prosperity, well-being, and long-term resilience of people, communities, ecology, and infrastructure. The bill needs to recognize that communities need to be built up from the ground. For example, an idea, since you asked for ideas before, there's a lot of red zoned land. Part of the land could be provided to young people who haven't got the means now to buy a house in ChCh because it's so expensive now. And they could build tiny houses, which are actually quite topical at the moment. And this could be done in conjunction with a change in building rules, as the Auckland City Council has done recently by allowing 40 square meters structures without building consents. Communities need to be enabled to request regeneration plans. Littleton and Brighton have come a long way in this process. They are very engaged communities, and I think they have been rather stifled than enabled by the rebuild provisions until now. The bill needs to be consistent with the Local Government Act and RMA. The power of the earthquake recovery minister has been far too big. We are not in a state of emergency anymore, and we really need to restrict the Crown's involvement by transferring the power of the local of the earthquake recovery minister to the Minister of Local Government, by abandoning the government's veto rights over local decisions, by restricting the Crown Co's involvement to existing anchor projects, and by making it compulsory for the minister to consult the council. The ultimate goal of the bill needs to be the active and meaningful engagement with the community. Only with an engaged community defined as the people who live and work here, only when this community is engaged, ChCh will prosper.
Manfred, thank you. Now, members, are there questions? David, and then Matt.
Permit me a moment of levity. One of the newspapers described one of our members today as Boy Friday who bleeds blue. And with your name, I feel we should almost be sort of addressing you as Count or Baron.
Don't worry about this.
Actually, on a serious point, you say that the Crown Co should be limited in its functions to delivering or abandoning
That's right, yeah.
the
Anchor project.
the anchor projects. What mechanism do you see for the Crown to start releasing all of the land that it's bought in the CBD back to the community or developers? Have you given any thought to that?
I don't think the land should be released in a private sort of context. It should be released as a provision for a whole community of young people to be able to build tiny houses.
Including in the CBD
That
area.
would, sorry?
Including in the CBD area.
Yes, if possible. I mean, we want to bring people into the CBD, don't we? I mean, I think this is one of the hallmarks of a live CBD, that people live in the city. And I mean, how do we attract those people to live here? I mean, only the very rich can afford it at the moment. It's not that especially young people have got much chance these days to actually buy houses in Christchurch, let alone in the CBD or flats or whatever. So we need to make some provisions that this enables those people who can't afford it to actually move into the CBD. The mechanism, exactly how that should be, sorry, I can't actually answer this.
Thank you.
Matt.
Yes, thank you very much for your submission. So, talking about share idea, and I think you made a comment that some of the ideas were implemented or
That's right, yeah.
or followed up on, and I'm just trying to work through, I suppose, some of the narrative we've heard over the last day or two is about people feeling as though they haven't been heard. I think it was 106,000 ideas someone suggested that maybe that happened in that exercise. But do you think there might be some truth that when people's ideas don't get implemented, they assume that their ideas haven't been heard? I mean, if you've got 106,000 ideas, there's going to be a lot of people disappointed because you can't implement 106,000 ideas.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
It is certainly a huge task to bring all those ideas together. But from my own experience, the rebuild, I don't think has delivered what people really wanted so far. I think Christchurch hasn't come any close to be ecologically sustainable. I mean, we're still struggling with the extremely polluted waterways, for example, in the city. And I mean, there's lots going on to address this problem, but I feel there could be actually much more done to address an ecologically, socially, culturally, and economically sustainable city.
Well, I think that's clear. I mean, if you were to look at Christchurch before the earthquakes, you'd argue there was a lot of stagnation then across a lot of those areas, and hence why we need to regenerate.
I mean, it seems quite obvious. An old city that has grown over more than a century is in its infrastructure also very handicapped. But the earthquakes actually provide an opportunity to change this totally. And we have actually still the opportunity to have a world-leading city here. And I think we should really make all efforts to be an example, you know, especially in our very, very unstable times, especially with climate change, you know. People need the reassurance that leaders do all they can to actually make our future more sustainable.
Thank you.
Manfred, there appear to be no other questions, so can I, on behalf of the committee, thank you for taking time to be with us this morning, for your written submission and for sharing your views and opinions with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.